Well, good morning. Thank you for coming in today.
Sure, Bill.
All right. Could you describe your name and your role, but probably more importantly, just what you're all about? What's your passions
Well,
and
my
beliefs?
name is Robert DeVito. I'm the administrative sergeant in the Trinity College Campus Safety Department. I guess talking about passions, right now, most of my time is taking up caring for my 95-year-old mother. I would call that a passion right now, out of necessity.
Certainly.
But certainly other things I like to do. I like photography. I like to be outdoors, hiking, things like that.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And what got you into like a safety or almost like a security position?
Well, it was almost where, and I've been at Trinity now for 42 years. So when I started here on midnights as a second job. So that's really how I started
Oh,
at
wow.
Trinity.
Yeah.
And I worked, this would have been my second job for about 25 years.
Okay. And is there something about the position that you're in that really drives you or that you like?
Well, I certainly like working at Trinity. I mean, for a lot of reasons, practical reasons. Certainly, they're one of the major employers in the Hartford area.
Yep.
And with a major employer comes major employer benefits, which are very important, especially
Sure.
for somebody my age, health insurance, things like that.
Yeah.
But as we were talking about before, just the rhythms of the college. I like college students. Again, they're bright, young, engaged people.
Yeah.
They're fun to be around. Just like I said, the rhythms of the college, the people that you meet on the college campus, always being young every 4 years. Every year, actually, there's young people coming in.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy working there.
It sounds like it's almost like a garden that comes up every year.
Yeah,
right?
very
And-
much so.
yeah.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Interesting. All right. Great. Could you tell us now what department are you in, and then how does that fit inside the broader Trinity College?
Well, I work for the campus safety department, and of course, to have a good learning environment, safety is of prime importance. And I believe that's where my role comes into the broader community, Trinity community, and the campus safety department comes in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what would you say the objectives are for that department?
Well, obviously, the physical security of the students come first. That's obviously the most important part.
Sure.
Then, of course, the physical security of the buildings come next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And could you describe some roles that you have to interact with? You could bring up names if you like, but the roles could work too. So, for example, who is your boss? Who are some of your peers? Who are some faculty that are very influential to you?
Sure. Well, I work for Brian Heverin. He's the director of campus safety. Also, George Marshall, who is the assistant director. Ramon Rosario, he's the captain over at campus safety.
Yeah.
There's also 4 other sergeants that I work with too. Donna Tadiello, Mike Hassett, who I work directly with. And then there are sergeants who work the other shifts. Let me see, John Sampson and Mike Harkins. So those are my peers that I work with every day. And of course, all the other officers that I work with,
Yeah.
specifically on the first shift, because that's the shift I work, first shift.
I see. Wow, when you first mentioned all that, I was like, that's bigger than I thought. Like, what's the total size of the group?
Well, we're trying to expand the department. We're looking to hire officers. We're right in that process right now, but there's a department of about 30 people.
Wow. Okay. Great. And that serves a population of what at Trinity?
About 2,500.
Okay.
I believe that's the population of Trinity, about 2,500 students. I believe about 2,000 live here. There's about 800 employees.
Yeah. Okay. And you feel more is needed in the group? Or should I say, do you feel more people are needed in the group?
No.
More than 30?
No, I don't. I
Okay.
think the campus safety department is about the right size, to provide the services that are required.
Yep.
We're hiring now, not so much to expand the department, but through attrition, some people have left for
I
whatever
see.
reason, so we're replacing them.
Okay. Okay, great. Maybe just from a broad overview, can you give us a sense of the incidents that happen Like what could happen on a college campus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, it could be anything.
Mm.
I mean, just last night, campus safety responded to a call about a student who was in distress, ended up taking him to the hospital. And it could be something as simple as left my card access key in my room. Can you come and let me in?
Okay.
And anything in between.
So, so the range of like an inconvenience to an emergency.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it could be like I said, anything in between.
Yeah.
A lot of my role, though, being administrative,
Yeah.
is a lot dealing with like the schedule, reports, parking enforcement, things like that.
Okay.
More than it is than directly dealing with students. Because of the time I work, students are mostly in class and things like that.
Okay. Okay. Great.
So I deal more, I think, with the faculty, staff than I do with students.
Okay. Very important to know.
Mhm.
All right. So let's explore it a little bit deeper. You mentioned parking enforcement. Maybe if you could just talk about parking. That's the process that we want to evaluate.
Mhm.
What are the aspects of parking management? And are there sequences or processes that must be followed?
Well, certainly I can tell you the problems at Trinity with parking
Okay.
deal with convenient parking. There have been several parking surveys done that show that Trinity has adequate parking spaces, just not where people want them. So obviously the parking lots that people really want to park in run at 120% every day. And by that I mean people park everywhere. They park along the curb line, they'll park on the grass, wherever they can shoehorn their car in. So that's really our major parking problem.
I see. So there's enough spots, but
Just
but it's
where-
distributed and there's hot spots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. I mean, obviously the spots that that are available are on the end of campus,
Yeah.
where people then, and I like to say then we use that nasty 4-letter word, walk.
Oh, say more about that.
Yeah. Well, it's actually amazing to me that people who would live on the north end of campus would drive their vehicle to the south end of campus or drive to Mather to get a cup of coffee
Interesting.
and not walk. I mean, I think this campus is perfect to be a walking environment,
Yep.
walking, biking environment.
Oh, okay.
You know, it would be, I think, perfect to have a garage centrally located, have all the vehicles go to that garage, park right there, and then basically close the campus to basically being a walking, biking campus. And it's perfect for that. It's set out in a city block.
Have you ever tried to pursue that? Or push
Well,
that?
I know there's been studies done. There was a group of Trinity people that went to the Hartford Hospital to look at their garage. I think the big roadblock is the cost of building it and then maintaining it.
Mhm. Who would be the champion of an activity like that?
Who would be the champion? Well, it would have to be, I guess, at the vice presidential level.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody would have to champion it there.
Yeah. Okay.
Or trustees, somebody at that level, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I mean, to come up with the kind of money that would be necessary, I think it would have to be championed there.
Yeah. And would you say that that's monumental? That would be
Well,
incredible if that happened, or would you see
well,
it
I
as
think-
possible?
Anything's possible, but I think the question would become, where do you want to spend your money? Do you want to spend it on academics and other things like that, improving the lives of students, or do you want to spend it on parking?
I see.
I think parking would be way down the line.
Okay. I guess I'd like to explore that a little bit. You've been here a number of years. Can you think of an example or two where it wasn't academics, but it was something else that was a significant investment?
Well, certainly the townhouses over on Crescent Street that are recent, I mean, that I wouldn't call that tied to academics.
Yeah. And how did that come about? What made that occur?
Well, that I couldn't tell you for sure. I mean, obviously somebody decided that the new housing was needed.
Yep.
And I'm sure to attract and retain students.
Yep.
You know, I think it's important to have good housing for them.
Okay.
So I'm sure that was one of the driving forces behind it. But exactly how it came about, that I'm not sure.
Okay. Could you walk me through, if I'm a new student, how do I know about parking? and get advice.
Well, if you're a brand new student, you can't bring your car anyway, so you won't even be introduced to that until your sophomore year. There's certainly online, you can find out a lot of information about parking. You would have to come to the campus safety office to register your vehicle, at which time you would be given a packet that would explain parking on campus.
I see. So do
And
you?
also at different events on campus, campus safety has a table where students could come up and ask about parking too.
I see. Okay. And are there any rules or things that you may need to be able to park on campus?
There are a lot of parking rules and regulations. I mean,
I see.
again, we would give you a list of them.
Yep.
All of the parking lots are also signed as to their usage. A lot of the parking lots, especially centrally located lots, are all restricted Monday through Friday. And by restricted, I mean to faculty and staff, no student parking.
I see. I see. Okay. Out of all those rules, which sound numerous, which one would you put at the top?
Well, I would say handicap parking for enforcement and fire lanes are the two most important.
Okay.
After that, for us, it would be the enforcement of the no student parking and faculty and staff lots.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like there's parking for students and parking for faculty. Why are they different?
Where the lots are, availability, and just really for the time of day.
see.
Students can utilize those lots, but they're restricted Monday through Friday from 7 to 5.
I see.
And it's for the faculty and staff to park there.
Okay. Do you consider that fair to the students,
Well,
for
I
example?
think,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, I think I do. I mean, when you look at the faculty and staff being older, students are very young. I see, quite frankly, no reason why they can't walk across this campus.
I see.
You know, when you're 19 and you can't walk, when are you going to be able to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So in that sense, I think it is. You know, the faculty and staff need more convenient parking so they can get to class, to teach their classes, things like that.
Yeah.
So I do think it's fair. And again, when the parking regulations were put into enforce, there was a committee set up that had students on it
Oh.
and faculty and staff, but quite frankly, it's going to be dominated by the faculty. And they're the ones that dictated the parking rules.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks the parking rules come out of campus safety. They absolutely do not.
That would be
We
my
enfor-
assumption. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, we
Okay.
enforce the parking rules. We do
Ah.
not make them.
I see. So who would be in charge of that committee?
Well, at the time, it was a vice president. Boy, this is more than 10 years ago that the...
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
because-
I'm not so sure I could remember right now.
But it was definitely.
But it was certainly at the vice presidential level.
So that person would get a group
Together.
Any sense of what varieties in that group?
Well, there were certainly students in that group. There were also members of the staff on that group and members of the faculty.
I see. Okay. And you used the word dominated by. What made you say that? Meaning dominated by the faculty in that session?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think on a college campus, the professors probably have the most influence, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But they did influence the parking rules.
I see. Okay. Another word you mentioned was enforcement. What does that look like? And
Well, it's issuing parking violations to students, also to staff in certain instances.
Yep.
There's really no mechanism to collect from staff, so even though you're giving them a parking ticket, that it really has no effect. It does on students. There isn't a mechanism put in place to collect parking fines from students.
Yep.
We also utilize tow trucks out of the faculty and staff parking lots, where students during certain hours, Monday through Friday, the 7 to 5, would be towed out of faculty and staff parking lots.
I see. Okay. Can you give us a sense of the overall tickets, if that's the right word, that get distributed? The amount of towing that occurs? I just want to get a sense of,
Well,
let's call it in a year, or if it's
right.
easier to say by semester, that's fine
Right,
too.
in a
Yeah.
year, I'm guessing there's about 200 cars that are towed.
Towed, okay,
Towed.
yep,
Again, on the year, it could be less, a little bit less and a little bit more, obviously depending on how well the students want to conform, actually.
yeah,
And around the tickets, I guess we're giving out probably about 1,500.
I see, okay. How would you rate this area in terms of pain? Is it a problem area? Parking, is it an issue, an ongoing?
Oh, I would say it's an ongoing issue. A lot of complaints that come into the campus safety department are about parking.
They are, okay,
Mhm. And again, it's convenient parking. It's parking where you want to park, close to your building or whatever. I certainly understand why. But the parking spaces that Trinity have are in different parts of the campus that are outlying.
okay,
We've also at one time had a program where we rented spaces at a garage at the Learning Corridor, which is off of Washington, and we rented 200 spaces and allowed students to park over there for free. We never had more than 15 students go over there, so that program really didn't work. We also offered them a shuttle service.
I see,
But again, I think it comes down to convenient parking.
yeah, okay, got it.
Although it's less of a problem, honestly, with this generation of students. They're more of the Uber and Zip car generation, where they don't maybe share vehicles more than have one themselves.
Right.
So I think parking has eased a little bit on campus.
Oh,
For
interesting.
the last year or so.
Yep, okay, okay,
But still, the parking lot's centrally located that everybody wants to park in there all the time.
yeah, got it. When was the last time there was an attempt for improvement in this area?
I don't know if I can remember.
Might have been a while.
It's,
Yeah.
well, and a part of the problem is every construction project takes parking. Every construction project they've done for the last 15 years has taken parking spaces. You know, when they built residence halls up on Summit Street, well, there were 140 parking spaces, it went down to 60.
Wow.
Because that's how much of the parking lot they took to build the building.
And are there construction projects every year, would you say?
All the time, yeah.
I remember last year being
Yeah,
here.
I mean, a lot of infrastructure, I think, recently, more than expanding. I think it's more infrastructure, repairing infrastructure, especially right out here on Gates Quad.
Yep. And what would happen when a big project like that happens and there's 80 parking spots that go away?
Well, it has an obvious big impact upon parking, and especially the people who want to park in that area.
Yeah.
And again, certain areas of the campus around Trinity Commons, I mean, there's a lot of employees with the buildings and grounds in Trinity Commons that brings a lot of employees right into that area. So obviously parking spaces are at a premium right there too.
I see. Is there any communications that go out or any appeal to that challenge to the student body and the faculty body? So when a big project comes and there's a reduction in space, are there communications that
Oh,
occur?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
It comes mostly through the communications department or communications. They every day they send out electronic communications about parking.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay. Are you part of what's being said there, or?
Maybe my boss is, I'm not.
Okay, got it. Excellent. All right. Before we go into the deepest level, you mentioned 120% before capacity. Do you actually measure?
No, this
that?
was done by a study. There's been a few aerial studies done. I'm getting that from one of those aerial studies where they were saying that certain parking lots, the Seabury lot, the Jarvis lot, specifically the ones up on Summit Street,
Yeah.
they called it, they ran at 110 or 120%. So, and obviously they were just counting the cars that were parked on the grass or improperly along the curb line,
Yeah.
or blocking other cars in or something like that.
Right. And does that match your hunch or your experience? Would you
Yes.
say?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay. I like to introduce a tool that we use to take a human-centered approach It's called the Journey Map. I'll draw it in front of you.
Mhm.
And what it is just a graphical representation of a particular experience. So we look at a time dimension, and I just want to map out how you felt, either greatly or maybe disappointed in this. So I'd like you to think about a time where parking had to be dealt with, and it was memorable, meaning this was a pretty interesting situation. Was there ever a time where you had to deal with parking that was painful to you or confrontational?
Well, certainly confrontational. I mean, people certainly get upset about parking their car.
Yeah. Can you think of a specific example? And we don't need names. I just want to map
Right.
out the situation.
I mean, certainly where a student came to the office enraged about their car being towed, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Refused to accept the reasonable answer that was given,
Yep.
that kind of thing.
Okay. Can we walk through one of those?
Sure.
If best you can recall.
Yeah.
You picked the one of those two. Those both sound great.
Okay, where again, a male student comes into the office, demands to know why his vehicle has been towed.
Okay. And at that point, how did you feel? As soon as they
Well,
walked in.
Neutral.
Neutral.
I
Okay.
would
So you
say
stayed
neutral.
cool and calm.
Well, remember, I'm a Libra. I I really am very, very calm and centered.
Thank you for being that way. Yeah. All right. So you were calm, but we had a student that was.
Was
How would you describe their emotion?
livid.
Livid. Okay. So they were livid about the towing.
about the towing.
Okay. Then what happened next?
Well, I explained to them why their vehicle was towed, and it was towed out of a faculty and staff parking lot during certain hours that they could not park there.
Yep.
And they were just unwilling to accept that response.
And how long did that go back and forth?
I would say about no more than 10 minutes.
Okay, so it's 10
About that
minutes.
long.
So I'm just going to put a 10-minute marker.
Mhm.
Did your mood change? Did you start getting any change in emotion?
Well, yes, I would say after about 10 minutes, I finally was getting to the point where, this is getting us nowhere.
Yeah.
You're unwilling to accept what I have to say, and I really cannot give you any other answers other than what I'm giving you. So, I mean, he's walking away and certainly not satisfied by my answers.
Yeah. So it's becoming circular
Yeah.
and
And we're
beating
getting
a dead
nowhere.
horse.
Yeah, exactly, at
Okay.
that point.
And how did you end it? Meaning, how did it stop?
I basically told him that I could no longer give him any answers. I had given him all that I had, and that if he wanted to continue, he would have to continue making a complaint above my pay grade up to my boss.
Yeah. Okay. And what did the student say?
I think he swore at me and left.
Okay.
I don't remember what he said, though, to be
But you
honest.
knew it was something along those
Oh,
lines.
yeah.
Okay.
Kind of as they're turning around and walking out, they swore.
Okay.
It made him feel better.
So they're
it's
getting
okay.
us. Okay, this is getting us nowhere. What emotion would you tie to yourself on that when it was going on for 10 minutes and you needed to escape that?
But again, I was calm. I mean, I was just thinking about what I really needed to say to this student,
Yep.
to try to keep him as calm as possible.
Okay.
I mean, again, I would say very calm throughout the whole thing.
Okay. And then after the student swore and left, how did you feel at that moment?
No, I laughed about it.
Did you?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I almost felt sorry for the student that they're so upset.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously they were off the deep end.
And what
it's
would?
just unfortunate that you're all so upset.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Okay. And where does it get towed? To just a local?
Oh, it gets towed to a place called Friendly Garage, which is a couple of miles from here. We deal with only one company.
Yep.
They're reputable.
It's good they're friendly, right?
Uh,
Was that?
I don't know if I'd name my towing company Friendly Garage.
It is ironic when you
It
said
is ironic.
I had a
Yes,
comment on it. Yeah.
No, I believe me, it's hit me several times too that it's called Friendly Garage.
Yep. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. So let me check my things. Okay. Yeah. At this point in these interviews, what I like to do is go down this path. It's still early in 2020. We're in a new decade, right? And so I want to think optimistically. And I've been giving everyone magic wands. So I want to give you a couple magic wands, okay? And what would you wish for relative to parking and parking management?
Oh,
if you can just sprinkle that
this
wand.
big, beautiful parking garage that would magically appear
Yeah.
in the center of campus.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Well, and especially even from a campus safety perspective of protecting those cars, to have all the cars go to one garage where you could secure them would be wonderful, instead of having cars distributed to outlying parking lots.
I see. Okay. Totally get that. Let's say that took a couple years and you wanted to wish for something in the next 6 months. And it could be anything you want. That your view of how you would love to see it. What would that look like?
Everyone conform to the parking regulations?
Yep.
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
I think things would work very well if people would conform to the parking regulations.
I see. Where have you seen people conforming in your life? Like when has that worked well? It could be on campus, or it could be some other aspect of your life.
Let me just laugh. It
Yeah.
doesn't. People are going to do what's in their best interest.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just the nature of the beast, would
I
you
think
say?
so. I think personally that's what it is.
Okay. What about your comment around walking? What would you wish for there?
That people would, it's a beautiful campus. Enjoy walking across it, taking the time to truly enjoy walking across this campus, because it
see.
is a beautiful campus that I enjoy walking
Yeah,
across.
I was gonna say, tell us as you walk through, what goes through your head?
Serenity. It's really a kind of a very peaceful place. I find it peaceful.
Yeah.
Again, just the gorgeous elm trees up on the quad, the students passing by, again, just the community and the environment, I think.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And then lastly, just like to understand, are there any key performance indicators or measures of success in parking enforcement or parking in general? Like how do we know it's going amazing, for example?
Lack of complaints about parking. I would say that would be a metric that could be used, people not complaining.
I see. Do you have that now, or you don't have that now?
Of how many complaints? No,
Yeah.
I don't think that is kept.
Okay.
Certainly less towing, less parking, those are something that is kept track of. That would be certainly an indication that parking is working well.
Yep. Okay. Are there any business rules that must be followed? So you mentioned there's like many rules relative to parking. Is there anything else that we may not have considered might be missing?
No, I don't think so.
Legal, training, like do you have to get trained on how to deal with conflict or anything like that?
Oh yeah, there's certainly training by the campus safety department for onboarding brand new employees, and certainly ongoing training throughout an officer's career.
Yeah.
Most of that's obviously done in the summer when there's time to do it.
I see.
Yeah, but
Okay.
no, there's ongoing training for sure. MOAB, how to deal with people with aggressive behavior, things like that.
Okay, great. All right, as a wrap, is there anything you would like to say or add?
No, other than I've really enjoyed working at Trinity. I feel my time at Trinity is coming to an end, but I've truly enjoyed working here.
Yeah.
It's a great environment. I've enjoyed the people and students, everybody.
Yeah, is there a retirement date in mind? Or?
October of this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
I'll turn 65 in October. Like I said, I'm a Libra.
Yeah, and this is by choice?
Oh, yes, by
Okay.
choice, yeah.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks.
All right, and
very
thanks
much.
again for your time.
Sure, no
All
problem.
right, appreciate it.
Yep.